Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about all of the paranormal romances that I read over the last week. Full transparency, this was supposed to be a vlog, but my energy level for the vlog was just non-existent, so I scrapped it all. So the first book that I read for the video was Alpha's Fated Virgin. This is a freebie book and it's the 13th book in a series, but I was able to read it by itself. This is about the hero and the heroine. I can't really remember their names by this point. The heroine is a wolf shifter, they're both wolf shifters, and her entire clan gets slaughtered, and in the midst of running from the people that killed her clan, she gets hit by Connor in a car and then saved by him. He brings her back to his house and nurses her back to health, and then their relationship goes from there. I gave this 2 stars. Was written like someone who had never heard or seen humans interact in any way. Like, the dialogue was very weird and the scenes felt weirdly spliced together. Like, she didn't really have a plot or a way that she wanted her story to go, so she just like crammed a bunch of written scenes together, and so it just felt incredibly disjointed and it didn't really make any sense. Then I read Tribute to the Alpha. This is the prequel novella to the Alma Venus Shifter Brides series, and this is about Alma and Rorik. This is in a world where there are a bunch of different shifter types and they are all at war with humans. And Alma's father sits on like a board basically that is trying to sign a treaty with the shifter packs to end the war because humans are just getting slaughtered. Part of the treaty from the shifters was they said, if you give us a bride every month or for like every shifter pack, we will sign this treaty. So Alma volunteers to go be with Rorik, who is the wolf shifter alpha, to kind of show that like having willing brides would be better for the treaty, would be better for the families of the shifters that the women are going into. I gave this 3 stars. I thought it was cute. I think it's a good, interesting beginning prequel novella to a series. I then read Kiss of a Dragon, which is a dragon shifter romance. And this is between Lucian and Arabella. And Lucian is the dragon prince of the dragon clan. And Arabella is a lawyer who represents women out of DV situations. Lucian stumbles upon Arabella being attacked by a half-demon in an alley, and he saves her and brings her back to his lair. They make a deal that she will find him a mate to continue his bloodline, to continue his life, and to continue a treaty with the Fae as a reward for him saving her life. They enter into this bargain, but he pretty much knows that he wants to seduce her and that he wants to end up with her. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked this. I liked Lucian a lot. He was kind of a weird hero for me to explain, but he felt very old-timey, if that makes sense. He felt very just quiet and introspective, and he felt, I don't know, he was like a very different alpha than you're used to, very just caring, and I don't know, he's a very interesting person to try to describe, and the words aren't coming to me right now, but I think that the world building was incredibly interesting. So Rorik is a dragon prince, and the world knows about shifters, but they don't really know that dragon shifters exist. So him and his clan live in hiding, but he is half fae, half dragon. One of his parents was a fae king, or a queen, and then one was a king or queen for the dragons. And so they mated and had him and his 2 brothers and their triplets. There is like treaties with the Fae, there's treaties with all of the different shifter groups, and there's a bunch of different shifter groups, owls, foxes, like just a very interesting world that I am excited to continue onto. I listened to the audiobook of Feral Sins. This is the first book in the Phoenix Pack series, and this is about Tyrion and Trey. And in the beginning of this book, Tyrion is a latent alpha, which basically means that her wolf, she can't transform. And in the beginning of the book, she goes to Trey because she is supposed to be mating with a guy who is very sadistic and is rumored to not treat women very well. And so she is kind of being sold off by her dad, and she goes to Trey and says, we should fake our mating bond. As a reward, I will try to form an alliance between you and my dad. And so they fake this mating bond, and they both previously had mates, like true mates, which is like true love, like your fated mate, I guess. And his was a child that he came across when he was like 14. And then hers was a childhood friend that died pretty young. They enter into this pact and no one knows that it's fake except them and his tribe. And so she goes and stays with his tribe, and it's a pretty good romance. I gave it 4 stars. I really like the found family aspect of this. I think that they were a great couple. She is definitely an alpha female and gives him just as much shit as he gives her. So it was a nice contrast to like the typical alpha mate dynamic. And then I also read A Hunger Like No Other, which is the first book in the Immortals After Dark series. And this is about Lachlan and Emma. And Lachlan is a werewolf shifter that has been imprisoned by vampires in essentially like the catacombs of Paris in fire for like hundreds of years. And then one day he smells Emma as his mate, and he is able to escape, and he goes to find her. He finds her and kidnaps her. Now, Emma is a half vampire, half Valkyrie. She was raised away from vampires by her Valkyrie aunts, I guess, and she is very, very meek, very weak, and she doesn't really know how to defend herself. She's been locked away from the world her entire life, and she is in Paris on a mission to find out who her real father is. She knows that he is a vampire, but she doesn't know who. Her mother died when she was young and wasn't very open about who her father was. And when Lachlan finds her, he kidnaps her and says, you know, I'm going to take you back to my castle, to my pack. He tells her, he deceives her and says, I'm gonna let you go. I just need you to get me there. But he plans all along to keep her there. And I gave this 3 stars. I really disliked about 70% of this. It starts off with him low-key assaulting her repeatedly, and then about 70% of the way through, it actually gets interesting once they actually build a bond and like are a couple, and then the other world like plots and things like that come into play. But a lot of this is a lot of non-con. We'll have scenes where he fully plans to rape her. He doesn't care what she wants. He doesn't care about any of that. And then suddenly she's like, oh, what's this mysterious tingling in my body? Why is my underwear wet? That kind of thing. I have a very like fine line, I guess, with non-con and dub-con. It went over that line a little bit. If the hero fully intends, he just straight up says like, I'm going to rape you and I don't care how you feel about it, I'm not. That's a no. So I didn't like the majority of this. It was just constantly them having some sort of sexual encounter, her getting mad at him, and then him groveling over and over and over again. Just incredibly boring and irritating. So the only thing that saved it from being a 2-star was at that 70% mark, like I said. And then the last paranormal romance that I read for the week was Sacrifice, the first book in the Bloodline Vampires series. This is a novella, and it is about Mina, who is sold by her father to Malachi, who is a bloodline vampire, which is an original vampire, not a turned vampire. And she is sold as his feeder and breeder, and she gets there and he immediately asserts some agency in their relationship and basically says like, I'm not going to fuck you until you want me to, and all of that. And then eventually we start including some other people into their relationship, into their sexual relationship. We have Wolf and Rylan. We go through the story thinking that she is just half vampire, half human. and they're just kind of like fucking in training, or like, I guess sucking in training is more like it. And then we get into like the meat and potatoes of the plot towards the end. But I gave this 4 stars. I think it was an interesting novella to start the series, and it definitely got me interested in where the plot and the world building is going to go. And it was sexy as fuck. Like, Katee Robert is fantastic at writing like, sex scenes and things like that. And she's great at like writing menages and all of that. So I really liked it, and I'm excited to continue. It is like one of the few Katee Robert sets on KU. And that is all of the paranormal romances that I read this week. So the intent behind this was, yes, it's spooky season, so I'm going to read some like paranormal reads. But also, I'm not a huge like adult paranormal romance reader. I read paranormal romances when I was a kid, of course, like a Twilight and Hush Hush and, you know, Fallen and all of those. I haven't really gotten into the genre as an adult. Gotten my toes dipped into the genre a little bit more. I've read some occasional ones on my romance journey. But yeah, I'm overall happy with the books that I read. I have several series that I will be continuing, so I would consider this a success. Leave your comments down below on any of the books that I read or any paranormal romance recommendations that you have for me. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.